120,000 men were killed in one day. 200,000 women and children were dragged away. And while the kingdom bled, King Ahaz offered his own son to pagan gods. But that was only the beginning. His own people would soon follow the darkness he had embraced. Ahaz became king of Judah when he was 20 years old. He ruled from Jerusalem, and he could now control the government and army. He could also change how people worshipped, and that power soon harmed the kingdom. Ahaz began making idols for the Baals. These were the gods worshipped by many people outside Judah. He burned incense to them in the valley of Ben Hinnom. He also worshipped at many high places across the land. These were worship sites built on hills and under large trees. Then Ahaz did something much worse, making one of his sons pass through fire. Other nations followed this cruel practice, but it was forbidden in Judah. Ahaz still chose to do it, and his people began following his example. Danger soon came from the north, when Rezin of Syria joined Pekah of Israel. Their kingdoms had strong armies, and both kings wanted Ahaz removed. They joined their forces, then began attacking Judah together. Pekah's army attacked Judah first, killing 120,000 soldiers in one day. Judah lost a large part of its army, leaving many towns with fewer defenders. 3 important men were also killed during the battle. One was Maaseiah, the son of Ahaz. Another was Azrikam, the man who managed the royal palace. The third was Elkanah, one of the king's highest officers. A warrior from Israel named Zichri killed all 3. The army of Israel then attacked towns across Judah. Its soldiers captured 200,000 women and children. They also took food, clothing, money, and anything else they could carry. The prisoners were forced to walk north with the army. The soldiers planned to take them to Samaria and keep them as slaves. The captives had lost their homes and family members and now faced slavery. A prophet named Oded stopped the army before it entered Samaria. Oded said God had allowed Israel to defeat Judah. However, that victory did not give them the right to enslave the captives. Oded also warned the soldiers about their own sins. Israel was guilty too, and taking slaves would make its guilt worse. Several leaders agreed with Oded and blocked the army from entering Samaria. The soldiers placed the captives and stolen goods before the leaders. The leaders used those goods to help the prisoners. They gave them clothes, sandals, food, and water. They also treated the people who had been hurt. Some captives were too weak to continue walking. The leaders placed them on donkeys, then brought everyone toward Jericho. Jericho stood near the land of Judah. The captives were released there, and the leaders returned to Samaria. Judah was still in danger, as Rezin and Pekah brought their armies to Jerusalem. They surrounded the city, hoping to capture Jerusalem and remove Ahaz from power. News of their plan reached the palace. Ahaz and the people of Jerusalem were terrified. The Bible says their hearts shook like trees in the wind. They knew both armies were moving toward them at once. The 2 kings wanted to tear Judah apart and divide its land. They planned to place another man on the throne. He was the son of Tabeel, though the Bible does not give his name. Ahaz would lose both his kingdom and his crown. During this attack, God sent the prophet Isaiah to meet Ahaz. Isaiah brought his young son with him. They found the king near the water channel of the upper pool. Ahaz was checking the city's water supply, while the enemy stood outside. Isaiah told Ahaz to stay calm and not fear Rezin or Pekah. Their anger looked dangerous, but their plan would fail. They would not break into Jerusalem or place their own king on its throne. Isaiah compared the kings to 2 pieces of smoking wood. They could still make smoke, but their fire was almost gone. Ahaz saw 2 powerful enemies outside his walls. God saw 2 kings whose plan was already failing. God gave Ahaz a clear reason to trust this message. Syria was ruled from Damascus, and Rezin was only its king. Israel was ruled from Samaria, and Pekah was only its king. Neither man could stand against what God had decided. Isaiah also said Israel would be broken within 65 years. The threat looked immediate and powerful to Ahaz. Isaiah told him it would not last. Isaiah then warned Ahaz about his own faith. If the king did not stand firm in faith, he would not stand at all. Ahaz had to choose what he trusted. He could trust God's promise, or he could search for help somewhere else. God even allowed Ahaz to ask for a sign. The sign could come from anywhere, whether deep below or high above. Ahaz could ask for something clear and impossible to miss. God was giving him a chance to see that the promise was true. Ahaz refused, saying he would not test God. His words sounded respectful, but he still would not accept the help offered to him. Isaiah answered with a message for the whole royal family. Isaiah said God would give a sign anyway. A young woman would have a son and call him Emmanuel. The name Emmanuel means God is with us. Before the child grew old enough to know right from wrong, both enemy lands would fall. The message also carried a warning for Judah. The king of Assyria would come against the land. Ahaz saw Assyria as a possible rescue, but Isaiah described it as another danger. The empire would not enter Judah as a kind friend. Isaiah described armies coming from far away. They would spread through valleys, caves, fields, and rocky places. No part of the land would feel safe from them. Assyria's power would reach much farther than Ahaz expected. The attack would also ruin farms and vineyards. Fields that once held crops would become covered with thorns. People would enter some areas with bows and arrows because the land would be wild. Only a small number of animals would remain. Families would survive on simple food like milk and honey. There would be plenty of open grass, but many farms would be empty. Isaiah's warning showed what Assyrian power could do. The help Ahaz wanted could leave his own kingdom poor and broken. The walls held, and the two armies could not enter. Yet Rezin still took the port city of Elath. He drove out the people of Judah who lived there. Losing the port also hurt Judah's trade with other lands. More enemies attacked while Judah was weak. The Edomites came from the south and took more prisoners. Judah did not have enough soldiers to stop every attack. Each new loss made the kingdom easier to invade. The Philistines attacked from the west. They captured Beth Shemesh, Aijalon, and several other towns. Their people moved into these places and stayed there. This meant Judah had lost land, homes, farms, and important roads. Ahaz could not defeat all these enemies by himself. He decided to ask Assyria for help. Assyria was the strongest empire nearby, with an army far larger than Judah's. Tiglath-Pileser was the king of Assyria. Ahaz sent messengers with a desperate request, calling himself the king's servant and son. He begged Tiglath-Pileser to save him from Syria and Israel. Ahaz also sent him a huge gift. He took silver and gold from the temple in Jerusalem. He took more treasure from his own palace. Then he sent all of it to Assyria as payment for help. Tiglath-Pileser accepted the treasure. His army marched against Damascus, the capital of Syria. The Assyrians captured the city and killed King Rezin. Syria could no longer continue its attack against Judah. The Assyrians also captured many people from Damascus. They forced those people to leave and sent them to Kir. Removing the people helped Assyria control the conquered city. Damascus had lost its king, its army, and many of its people. The plan saved Ahaz from one enemy, but it placed him under Assyria. Tiglath-Pileser did not treat Ahaz as an equal king. He knew Judah was weak and needed Assyrian support. Ahaz soon asked Assyria for help again. This time, Tiglath-Pileser did not rescue him. He came to Judah and made life harder for Ahaz. Assyria began taking advantage of the kingdom instead of protecting it. Ahaz tried to satisfy the Assyrian king with more treasure. He took more wealth from the temple and palace. He also took valuable things from the leaders of Judah. Then he gave everything to Tiglath-Pileser. The payment changed nothing. and Assyria kept putting pressure on Ahaz. The Edomites and Philistines still held captives and towns. Judah had lost much of its wealth, yet it was no safer. Ahaz then turned to the gods of Damascus. Syria had caused Judah great pain during the war. Ahaz believed its gods had made the Syrian army strong. He decided to offer sacrifices to them, hoping they would help him. He said, "The gods of Syria helped their kings. I will offer sacrifices to them so they may help me." Ahaz began worshipping the gods of a city Assyria had defeated. That choice brought even more trouble to Judah. Ahaz traveled to Damascus to meet Tiglath-Pileser. While there, he saw a large altar and liked its design. Ahaz wanted an altar just like it in Jerusalem. He made a drawing of the altar and wrote down its design. Then he sent the plan to Urijah, a priest in Jerusalem. Ahaz ordered him to build the new altar before he returned. Urijah followed the order and finished the work. When Ahaz returned, the altar was ready inside the temple area. He walked to it and began making sacrifices. He burned offerings and poured drink offerings upon it. He also placed the blood of sacrifices on the altar. Ahaz then gave Urijah more orders. The new altar would be used for the daily sacrifices. Priests would burn the morning and evening offerings there. They would also use it for sacrifices brought by the people. The bronze altar already used in the temple was moved aside. It no longer stood in its main place. Ahaz said he would use it when he wanted guidance. Urijah obeyed everything the king told him to do. Ahaz continued changing the temple. He removed the side panels from several stands. He also removed the basins that rested upon them. Priests used these basins for washing during their work. There was also a much larger basin called the sea. It stood on 12 bronze oxen. Ahaz removed it from those oxen and placed it on stone. He was taking apart the objects used for worship in the temple. He changed another covered area used on the Sabbath. Ahaz made these changes because of the king of Assyria. A foreign ruler was now shaping what happened in Jerusalem. The trouble around Judah continued, but Ahaz did not change his ways. Instead, he became even more unfaithful to God. He gathered the sacred objects from inside the temple, then he cut them into pieces. Those objects could no longer be used by the priests. Ahaz then shut the temple doors. People could no longer enter the temple and bring their sacrifices. Ahaz built new altars on the street corners of Jerusalem. People could use them to offer sacrifices to other gods. These altars stood across the city, where everyone could see them. Ahaz was making foreign worship part of daily life. He did the same thing throughout Judah. Ahaz built high places in every city. People burned incense there and worshipped other gods. What began with the king had now spread across his whole kingdom. Ahaz ruled Judah for 16 years. He was 36 years old when he died.